up in the Dumbo, smoking a gumbo. Few blocks before green, yeah, up in the jungle, coconut bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tore the underworld, popping the minter. Landing the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean? We up it and squeeze, tuck it and leave, we leaving a stain. Fuck up for breeze, running the banks, causing a crashing. Feather the feds, Moorish the fashion. Horse was smashing, kicking the door. Waving for force, it was blasting. Mother the gassing, loving the passion. Eat on your food, the brother was fasting. The weapon that formed against me was me. Perfected the storm as Bentley receipts. Washing the Benjis, we rinse and repeat. Sanctuary of self, I'm centered on me. Red as the pillar, I'm pushing the piece. Higher the level, I'm pushing the keys. They going for 19. The summer is mine, I'm going for 19. Thunder and lightning, flooded the bright lane. The hunger was biting, biting.
Peace, 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 peace. Yes, indeed, family. Yes, indeed. Welcome to another episode of Third Eye Thursdays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pill. This is episode 174. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, indeed. Welcome. Everybody make yourselves at home. All right. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's get into the roll calls. Before we get into the roll calls, a few quick announcements. Okay, a few quick announcements. The Red Opal single is now available on all streaming platforms. It is now available on all digital streaming platforms, which includes Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music, and all other streaming platforms. You could go and check it out. Put in the title Red Opals, it should pop up. Okay. We do have a packed show tonight. It is going to be a monumental show. We have guests in the building. So while my guests are lining up backstage, I'm going to go ahead and play a commercial, and then we're going to do the roll call, and then we'll bring our guests in for the evening for this monumental show that we have lined up for you guys. All right. So, yes, here we go. Join us Sunday, June 18th, 4:44 p.m. Chicago Crypto Block Bully presents a 4-week class on technical analysis.
Things we need an earnings recovery. We need the Fed to maybe not pivot, but at least be done. And then we need market breadth to confirm that an early cycle bull market's in place. Things we need an earnings recovery. We need the Fed to...
If you've ever watched financial news or looked up the price of a stock, chances are you've read a stock chart. A stock chart is a graph that displays the price of an investment over a period of time. In this video, we'll discuss some chart basics, view 3 common types, and show you how each displays an investment's performance. Finally, we'll introduce a few basics of technical analysis, which is an investment strategy that analyzes charts to help forecast future price movements. Let's start with charts. The main purpose of any chart is to display the current price of an investment and how its price has changed over time. One of the most common chart types is a line chart. A line chart is fairly simple.
When you join the class, you will have access to 8 weeks of class that already taken place, teaching on all things cryptocurrency and precious metals. Join us on Red Pill's Patreon. Peace. Shout out to all of the Patreon members. Last night, my good brother Ra Aku started his 4-week course on knowledge of self, know thyself, know thy wealth, the fundamentals of cosmophysics, and it was fire. Shout out to everybody that was in attendance for that class. All right. So let's go ahead and do the roll call. Let's see who is in the building before we begin our show tonight. All right. Shout out to everybody. Peace to the family. Okay. So I see that we have Money Maker Manhattan in the building. Shout out to Manhattan. Shout out to NYC, Chicago, Peace of Chicago. All right. Rising Power, Chief Nighthawk. Yes, yes. Rising Power to that good brother. Salute. All right. Winfield, Louisiana. Shout out to Winfield, Louisiana. Peace, love, and light. Sanford, Florida. Shout out to Sanford. Salute to Sanford. Okay. Riverview, Florida. Peace to the family in Riverview. I see you. All right, Norfolk. Shout out to Norfolk, Virginia. Virginia's for lovers. Shout out to everybody in VA. Shout out to Pharrell. Harlem in the building. Santa Rosa, California. Salute. Okay. We have Gainesville, Georgia. Gainesville, Georgia. I see you, brother. Peace to the Gainesville. Peace to the family in Rome, too. Shout out to Rome. We will have a date coming up very soon for part 2 of Stone Mountain. We're going to do a Stone Mountain retreat. I just don't have the date in front of me. But for everybody that showed up last year, we will let you know when this new date is going to drop. Look around sometime in July. Okay, PG, Maryland. Shout out to PG. Shout out to Cincinnati. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get right to the show. Salute to everybody in the building. I'm sure that we're all in the building. But I don't want to hold up my guests for all night because we could be doing this roll call thing all night if we let it. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and prepare tonight's show. Okay. So we could get right to it because there's a lot to talk about. Now, I've had a lot of conversations on this show over the last few months and even over the last few years about psilocybin, and people's interests have peaked over the years, and more people are more open now to have these conversations, and the curiosity has reached an all-time high. Now, I currently reside in Atlanta, ATL, okay? And shrooms have taken over. Okay. Shrooms have taken over in terms of what they call recreational substances and whatnot. It's become a party drug, and it's become one of the latest crazes out here in a place like Atlanta where there's a lot of experimentation done. So tonight's show, we're going to deal with some misconceptions. We're going to clear up some, some misconceptions. We're going to speak on some facts. We are going to explore the world of shrooms. Okay, the world of psilocybin. We're also going to tap into the world of sexuality. And then we're going to tie that in with the hot topic on everybody's minds. And, you can't get away from this, the world of AI, artificial intelligence. So without any further ado, I want to open up the line for my special guest for the night, my first special guest, good sister right here. She's been on the show before. And she blew it off for the handles the last time, so I know this time we're in for a surprise. So without any further ado, I want to open up the line for our good sister, Sister Nikki, in the building. Peace.
Peace, peace, peace. Let me see. Let me make sure. All right, how's that? Peace.
Peace, peace, peace.
Right.
How are you?
Thank you for that amazing introduction. Yes.
Indeed, indeed. How are you doing today?
Grateful. I'm just to celebrate our brother Chief Nighthawk, who has recently transitioned. If we're going to be talking about ceremony, we're going to talk about mushrooms, we're talking about all the things like this. This being has been able to support us with his knowledge, with his travel, with his to celebrate our brother as he's just transitioned, and not everybody knows him because he's not such a public figure in that way. But please know, if you know him, then you're blessed to know him. And everyone that you connected with has probably been affected by him.
Right.
So I just wanted to say that to start out and call that spirit in.
Oh,
Hmm.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
thank you so
spoke.
much for having us.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. I'm honored. I spoke when the brother Blue Pill was on the show on Monday, and we spoke highly of his contributions. I publicly benefited from a ceremony with the snake venom with the good brother. I was going through some excruciating back pains about a year ago, and the good brother and Shaman Dooley, they appeared. Y'all all appeared, and we did a ritual, we did a ceremony, and everything turned around in a positive direction. So, I have a very, what I mean? I got a place in my heart for that good brother. But let me go ahead and continue to open up the lines for our panel for tonight. Our next guest is also no stranger to the show. She's been on this platform before, and the family loved her. They were asking her to come back, so this is her return. So without any further ado, I want to open up the line for our sister Acacea Lewis. All right, peace.
Peace. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, honors. Thank you for being here. How is everything?
Everything is in motion,
Yes,
As
yes,
Sister
yes,
Nikki mentioned, Chief Nighthawk was a very good friend of mine, and
yes,
we're venerating him, with this conference because he supported the divine feminine in the space.
yes.
He was one of the brothers who worked with the sacred medicines for a very long time, and I remember 7 years ago we started out doing Cambo same week, and so for me it hits really close to home because he was so young and he was so impactful, is so impactful. So
Right,
I keep that in mind. And then also, what is this conference about? This conference was started by the Honorable Mama Kai Wingo, and that's who inspired me as a teenager to get into this work. And her daughter is going to be speaking for the first time at this event. So I get to
wow,
see the next generation really come through and be impactful. And that brings me a lot of joy, as well as Sister Nikki, Sister Sunny Ray, all my sisters, Sister Ash, who are out here doing good work, Mama Ayana,
right,
and, Baba Kilindi said, he was just going to come be the janitor because when the
right,
women come out with the entheogens, we know that it's about healing our sexuality, activating our magic,
right,
reclaiming our power, and sharing what it is that we are able to cultivate inside a space outside the experimentation and the partying and stuff. Because you party too much, you're gonna get hurt.
right,
And then when you get hurt, who gonna help you then? Your party friends? Nah. Somebody, I
right,
mean, you can drink tequila all you want to numb the pain, then that leads to cocaine, and that leads to crack, and you on the streets. You feel me?
right.
So it's a matter of reclaiming our healing ability, our natural healing ability that's inside of our own bodies, and using the mushroom to unlock that as a tool that I feel like drew me closer to the spiritual aspects, coming into the space as a very scientific atheist. For me to have a deeper level of belief was experiential. And I think that everyone deserves to have that experience with divinity inside of themselves and to restore their faith in their higher self, and the Most
Yes,
High. And embodying that is really something that is, that's part of doing the work. But we hear the word doing the work, and it's becoming a fan fiction meme name. It's like
right.
everybody
It's a
want to
trend.
do the work, but ain't nobody want to have good word, good thought, and good actions and good
Right,
deeds. You feel me? And those are the three core principles that makes the divine feminine, Isis from Ishtar and Ahura Mazda, those winged ones, powerful healing deities or deified beings. And so if we want to have wings to be able to fly, then we got to develop the behaviors, and those behaviors come from learning how we can use the knowledge from the mushroom to take advantage of technology like the AI and develop the OI, the organic intelligence inside of ourselves to heal our bodies and put our minds back together, as well as go deeper.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's a perfect segue for me to open up the floor for our next esteemed guest. Um, the family, the KTL family who've been following us for a very long time know that when we even began the conversation about the entheogens and the psilocybins and whatnot, we were blessed to have a master on our platform to open up the way, right? We didn't start at an amateur level. We actually started with a brother who was taking our audience and taking himself on a journey of a lifetime. This was one of the first times I heard the term heroic dose. This was going all the way back into early, I would say 2011 and 12, when the conversation was beginning to really pick up in the community. And Baba Kilindi came on a show and blew it off of the handles, you know. And ever since then, our audience and myself and others have been going on these healing journeys and these interstellar journeys within. And I'm just seeing, you know, I've been seeing this community mushroom and grow and expand, you know. And our Baba is now with the ancestors, but his divine reflection carries on his mission. Okay. So I want to introduce the family to Mama Ayana. Okay. And I want to open up the floor and introduce her to the KTL family. All right. Without any further ado, Mama Ayana Iyi in the building. Peace and welcome to Know the Ledge.
That peace and magical blessings to all.
Indeed.
And I just want to give honor to the ascension of the brother Chief Nighthawk as he was making his way to do the work on the other side. My daughter recently said we have a tower of ancestors working on our behalf. And so I come to you representing the Detroit Psychedelic Society, powered by the Tamarian Martial Arts Institute. Those were Baba Kilindi's founding energies. He's given us much. And his words to me as he was making his ascension was, continue the work, Ayana. And so we are here, and we're grateful that we're here and that you're allowing us to continue this work by being on this program.
Honors.
Thank you very
It's
much.
such an honor to have you. You know, I remember throughout the years, even when Baba Kilindi was on the show, you know, you were there with him, you know what I mean? So just having you here today and seeing the movement, the way that it's grown and how it's continuing to grow, it is a beautiful thing. And I look forward to the show tonight, just getting a lot of information out there because there's so many questions in our community. So many people have so many questions. They hear so much, you know, they're curious about so many things. So, you know, I look forward to getting some things out tonight. I want to open up the floor for our last guest. All right. So without any further ado, family, I want to open up the stream to another one of the goddesses who will be joining us tonight, our good sister, Sunray Ballad. Peace. How you doing? Did I pronounce your name correctly?
It's Sunray.
Sunray. Greetings. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome everyone to the platform tonight. First and foremost, before we even begin, let's just get it out the way and let everybody know what is the event that is coming up that we want everyone to be tapped into.
Well, this is, again, sponsored by the Detroit Psychedelic Society. It's called Rise of the Phoenix, the Women in Entheogens Conference. This is a conference that originally gave its face in 2015 by the honoree Kai Wingo. She decided that, or she understood that women and entheogens just go hand in hand. And so it was for her to get the information and the knowledge out to as many women as she could, because back in 2011, 2010, 2012, it was rather quiet. A lot of people were whispering about it. When we got our spores, we had to go underground to get them.
Yes.
And so now it has a lot, like you said, a renaissance. It has a loud voice. We are women, we're loud, we're on purpose, and we have something to say. And we want everyone to hear what we have to say. It is my understanding through some statistics that are out there that 90% of all users of psychedelics are women.
Yes.
And that makes a lot of sense, because we carry a whole lot with us. So using psychedelics and sharing it with the community and with our families, we know that there is a energy being put forth for us to heal as one, to heal the planet, to heal our men, our relationships, so we can create a balance and move up out of this mess that we've been in for so long. It's just time, y'all. It's just it's past due. So we are a movement all in of ourselves. So we have everybody that you see on this panel tonight will be at the conference, and I love each and every one of you for stepping up and giving your love and sharing your knowledge. And we're gonna blow the roof off for real. So whatever questions you may have, come through, pull up. We there. We got you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Okay, so let's get right into it. My first question of the night is going to be this. It's to no surprise that a large majority of our population in our nation, our sisters to be exact, have suffered through many traumatic events in their lifetimes, throughout their childhood, their teenager years, their adulthood, and some are still going through traumatic experiences, whether through in relationships, holding on to grief, loss, abuse that they may be feeling from coworkers, friends, family members, etc., etc. And we have a lot of people in the public talking about mental health and healing. Healing has somewhat become trendy, even amongst the hip hop generation and the youth now. A lot of people are talking about them wanting to live a soft life. They're in their healing phase. Black women are calling themselves goddesses more now than I've ever heard before. How could a person that's out there right now, a listener who's never ever considered psilocybin or entheogens, how would they be able to approach plant-based medicines if they were looking to heal, if they were looking to overcome some type of trauma that just was weighing them down, affecting their sleep, affecting their body weight, affecting their mental health, psychic attacks and things of that nature? What would you recommend, everybody on the panel, what would you recommend would be the first step in a person's life to go towards some type of healing from that trauma?
Okay, I'll step into that one. Because I do have a lot of women that I've worked with over the years. And this is something that we've done for many years as we gather together. But I would say the first step is to educate so that you can so that you can have the knowledge. And I would give that education through lectures, through books that are out there, and specifically Baba Kilindi's lectures. Know who you're dealing with, because now as we see this psychedelic renaissance has taken hold, you cannot trust these people now. You've got your psychedelic sexual predators. You got people who have greed and jealousy and envy. They're going to sell you something or give you something, and they don't even know what they're talking about. So it's about trust. And inside of that trust, you say, well, who can I trust? Who do I go to? Where do I go to do that? That is through being in the right circles, tapping in, listening more. Don't be so easy to say, okay, I'll do this, just because it's trendy now. Do your research, because people are out there, unfortunately, with something so beautiful and sacred and necessary to us. People are, because of this human energy shit that we got going on, are willing to take you for a different ride, So go to your lectures. Pay attention, use your personal power, which is your intuition. You got to learn how to feel stuff, and not second guess yourself, because that's when it gets you, when you say, well, what do you think? Or I don't know, or, should I? Don't give in to the doubt that comes up, so it's about feeling and asking questions. That would be my input right now on that.
Okay. Utilize the art of discernment.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else?
I can jump in. I can jump in next. Um, so, before entering, one of the things that I make sure before I integrate any ends with anyone that I'm working with
Yes.
is creating a familiarity with your body, the conversation with your body, being able to listen to what your body is saying to you. And I know that that might seem like a very simple thing to bypass, but when we start to listen to what our hearts are saying, different from what our wombs are saying, different from what our gut is saying, we start to understand that these bodies, because we're using these bodies to interface with this illusion, that when we
Right.
start to utilize that, we can then lean further into that discernment that Mama Ayana is speaking to.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Are there any other takes on that? All right. Cool. Okay,
I have a
okay.
take if
Yes.
there's no other
Yes,
take.
please.
Sunny Bray, are you sure you don't want to go?
Oh, you can go first. Go ahead.
Okay. Personally, having come from a very adolescent age with these without very much guidance,
Right.
I would say that young women and men are going to do what they want to do until they run into some issues.
Right.
And when you find yourself running into issues, like Mama Ayana said, the best thing that you can do is educate yourself and go to reputable sources like Baba Kilindi Iyi and Mama Kai Wingo and Mama Ayana Iyi, who have videos online. And, there's more than one way to educate yourself. You can educate yourself experientially as well. And I think that's why you should learn to grow your own mushrooms.
Right.
Because in the process of growing your own mushrooms, you get acquainted with the intelligence of the mushrooms, because it's going to permeate your living space. Now, you're going to make some mistakes potentially, with the energetics that you have, but until you have a context coming from maybe a Christian background or Islamic background or a Hebrew Israelite background, whatever religious or non-religious background you're coming from, get prepared to shift what it is that you think you believe and enter a realm of knowing inside of belief. And what I mean by prepare yourself, don't go in carrying all of your baggage with you. Get prepared to journal all of the baggage that you have so that you are aware and expanding your perception of what it is that you carry and what it is that you would like to let go of or better understand on a trauma level. And then categorize the things that are holding you back, that are your anchors, your alcohol addiction, tobacco addiction, cannabis addiction, whatever it is that is anchoring you to a specific lifestyle. Seek to disrupt your current lifestyle, because the mushrooms are going to disrupt it sometimes abruptly. And so if you prepare yourself to be disrupted and you voluntarily choose to change your behavior, the mushroom will help propel you along those lines without it specifically showing you how you need to disrupt your current line of thought or behavior. You may be thinking, oh, I need to find a spell to go and put on my ex who abused me. And the mushroom might say, no, you're really the one at fault. This is where you could have X, Y, and Z. So if you don't prepare to disrupt what you think is the solution, you are not prepared to receive a divine solution from within. So you have to empty your cup.
Right. So those that are in a lot of self-doubt and cannot look in the mirror will sometimes be forced to look in the mirror if that's not something that they don't voluntarily do.
Yes. So
and they might not be pleased with what they see in the reflection.
That's right. That's right.
And the goal is to overcome the fear.
Right.
It's not to not have fear at all. A lot of people think the goal of taking mushrooms is that a good trip is that you're never afraid. A good trip is that you're scared as shit.
That's right.
But you stand in it.
Right.
And you
right.
face
it. Right.
And so unless you prepare your mind to face that fear, then expect to be unprepared and uncomfortable.
Interesting.
And sometimes that's okay. And if you allow yourself to sit in the discomfort, sometimes you can push through that to a new area of development. But if you set the expectations beforehand that this could come up, it's a lot less difficult to deal with.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Sister Sunny Ray?
Yes. So I guess you could say I've had the pleasure of watching this go from one end of the spectrum to the other. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
So where I'm from,
I'm from
where I'm
Flatbush.
from, exactly.
Right.
We wasn't taking anything, especially not mushrooms. I mean,
Right.
I grew up watching my relatives strung out on drugs. So that was the last thing that I was going to do, was to take anything that was even related to a drug.
Right.
You know? So I come from that era, from like, no, that's what they do. We're not doing that.
Yeah, I come from that too. It was considered a white boy thing. And
Exactly.
you know, we looked at shrooms like they look at, like we thought it was acid. You
Right.
know, so anything that messes with the mind is off limits, because outside all you have is your mind.
Exactly.
You know, you have to be on point, you have to be sharp. It was
That's
frowned
right.
upon to be sloppy and off point.
That's
You
right.
could get beat up like that. So I do understand what you mean by that.
Absolutely. I'm from Bedford-Stuyvesant. So,
Yeah.
you had to be on point. You couldn't afford to not be on point at all times. And so
For
that
sure.
was just something that we just didn't do. So now I was introduced to the medicine actually through Baba Kilindi. And then it was interesting because I had been studying the Kemetic culture, and then he introduced the mushrooms and just brought it all together, like, and bridged everything together and made
Right.
life make sense.
Right.
And so I decided to go ahead and take that chance, to be brave and to take the journey within. And so since that time, I've actually watched more and more Black communities start to be more accepting of taking the mushrooms, of diving in. I've watched it go from, okay, maybe we'll try it, to like, okay,
Right.
now everybody's doing it and we're drinking and doing mushrooms.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's a cocktail now.
It's crazy. I've had people come to me and they've already gotten to that level where they're taking it recreationally all the time with alcohol. And I've had to talk to them and just make them take a step back, like, wait, like,
Right.
this is a sacred medicine. This is something that you should be doing with guidance, with education, with integration, which is the most important part.
Right.
And so for me, I feel like as Black people, there's nothing in this world that can equate to the greatness that you can accomplish on your own if you're giving the right tools, if you're educated in certain things. And so education is very, very important for me. I think that whenever you dive into something, you need to properly educate yourself, especially sacred medicine. And to speak to the goddesses, the first environment, I care about educating people because I care about the world around me and I care about the environment that is around me. And the first environment that we need to look at is the womb.
Right.
It's this environment that all of these organisms, all of these humans that are running around are coming from. They're coming from this environment. So we need to look at the conditions of this environment.
Yes.
And that's what me and Mama Ayana are actually going to be diving deeper into. We're going to be holding space for the woman to come and do the womb work.
Right.
And us coming together for this conference is us standing up and saying, we're here to assist you, to guide you, and to educate you. You don't have to be out there trying to learn from Tom, Dick, and Harry down the block. You can go to someone that has experience and that has education, and we can lead you.
Interesting. Indeed. Wow. Okay. So my next question is going to dive into the realms of sexuality. Okay. Now we know that the plant medicine is an intelligence, and it helps to guide, and it helps to, teach one. Okay. It teaches one things that they might not know about themselves. Okay. On a cellular level. How would you approach someone who is having, questions about their sexuality, whether it's hypersexuality? There may be a young woman out there who is exploring their city girl phase, right? They're tapping into hypersexuality because of what the culture is promoting, right? And they embrace it, and they're like, yo, I'm exploring my womanhood through my whole phase, through the city girl phase or the hot girl summer, right? I'm just putting it, that's what's going on. And they may say, you know what, I want to tap into the medicine, to further explore sensuality, sexuality, and all of these other things that are somewhat complicated because of dogma, because of cultural structures in society, because of the fact that we live in this Western society. What would your advice be to somebody who is searching for more meaning in their sexuality through the plant-based medicines?
The word that comes up for me is intent. Intent. So when I offer, and I'm going to refrain from using the word medicine, I like to call it, me personally, technology, the organic technology. Now, so intent, when I offer the technology to someone who has come to me, I tell them to open up the energy by breathing into the bag, inhaling the energy, and telling the mushrooms exactly what it is that you want and what you're going for.
Right.
It connects with you that way. It is breathing with you and for you while you're giving this energy, even before you even ingest, even earlier in that day, the mushroom already know that you're going to be inside of this place. So when you give it the intent, and this is what I'm desiring to open up myself or my sexuality, it will take you there.
Right.
It will take you there first, probably within the first 30 minutes of your journey. Now, let me tell you that once it has taken you there and offered you that information, then it'll come back and take you somewhere else where it wants you to talk, where it wants you to go, where it feels like you need to go. But I know that firsthand, when you breathe the intent of sex or sexuality, and we know that sexuality is a spectrum of energies, women will have what we call mushroom orgasms. Those mushroom orgasms can last for a good couple of hours, where you're actually in an orgasmic state. And the womb opens up and lights come from it. And I'm speaking on my own personal experience here, okay?
Right.
And the womb is shown in a way that the gates are golden, and there are rubies and emeralds and diamonds on that gate. So it lets you know how precious and sacred this space is. So it just gives you the energy of that your yoni is sacred, and that when you give of yourself in a sacred way. You become whole inside of this thing. So you become, again, there's the word discernment in who you spread those legs for.
Right.
You get to feel the energy of, okay, this is not going to work for me. Now, I'm not knocking a good bang. I swear to God, I'm not.
Right.
But in terms of heightening your sense of sexuality as a woman, you want to keep that space sacred. You want to keep that space honored. You want to talk to that space. If you masturbate, then that's a time for you and that space to connect. So the mushrooms do help in that area. And again, I'm speaking from experience here, So, yeah, I'm done with that right there.
Indeed. Sister Nikki?
Yes. when it comes to going deeper into our sexuality, I always start with, before we start with the entheogens, the body conversation is important. So understanding intimacy, having connection with that womb,
Yes.
having connection with the womb, having conversation with that heart. And a lot of times we may not even recognize that the experience that we have with the mushrooms and our experience with our orgasmic way of being, they are actually parallel. So you can have orgasm, you can have, and you can walk and access your orgasmic self to psychedelic experiences and walk
Right.
orgasmically. And what the mushrooms, what the mushrooms can do is also show you how. So when it comes to just thinking about how it works with our brains, um, the mushroom, as well as our orgasm, it taps into our serotonin, to our gamma waves, to our theta waves, which is why we have those mushroom orgasms. And I'm
Right.
not talking about the memorized orgasms. I'm talking and the memorized orgasms are those prefrontal cortex orgasms, where you say, no, this is how I like my pussy to be eaten, or this is how, all of the things that you think this is what it's supposed to be, because that is your identity,
Right.
that comes through the filtered programming that we've been with. So so we're getting deeper with our sexuality and the mushrooms. I actually recommend starting with a micro dose. I recommend starting with micro. When it comes to, I also recommend starting with your body. You start with anybody else's body. So when
Right.
you are working with that micro dose and being able to explore self,
Right.
with that, with it allows you, and again, in reflection, speaking just in my experience, when you're taking that micro dose and you allow yourself to move through your body, you feel more, you sense more. The stagnation and the trauma that you might hold in your body, the storylines are going to come out, and you're going to be able to address them. This
Right.
is, and when we talk about books, there's the body keeps score. When we're talking about the body keeps score, these bodies, because they hold on to these stories, the mushrooms help to open that up so that we can access greater conversation there. I would start there before going further, and then if there is when you're your arousal with the mushroom, you may find that, and I've witnessed with clients, it'll take you to places, to traumas, to storylines in your past, current incarnation, and also
Yeah.
other incarnations. And
Right. Right. Time from
when
your
you are
bloodline.
able to revisit, you can, yes, and then you can literally change. You can change your timeline. You can heal the generational trauma that had been passed down from generation to generation to generation, because of the work that you do with yourself. So when there's a conversation about going deeper, understand that the depth is not just you having greater orgasms, and it's not just about, oh my goodness, now I'm gonna rock this person's world, but
Right.
literally the aspect of your sexuality, you can go so far and so deep, and what I'm saying and what I'm speaking to is just a very tiny tip of the iceberg.
Indeed. Wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Indeed. Sister Acacia?
Uh-oh, I've been summoned.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm gonna follow
I know,
Nikki
right.
and Mama Ayana's amazing share.
Right.
Let me
So
put it this
when
way. I'm kind of an outlier. So the things you're going to hear from me about sexuality are kind of fringe. Are you sure you want me to say nothing about it?
Well, this is an open show. You know,
Come on, baby, give it up.
conversation that we all are having.
Give it up. We can take it.
Well, let's see here. I got a good 5 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Well, for me personally, I come from the modality of belief that if you're going to create something, you better create something really, really good.
Right.
You know? And what I mean by that is 1 + 1 = 2. Womb plus lignum equals something. You can manifest something with that. Womb plus womb equals something. Lignum plus lignum equals something. And it depends on really how you embrace your multidimensional sexuality, what that equalizing factor is. I feel that women and men who are starting out working with mushrooms should first aspire to create.
Yes.
Now, doing that solo, you can get plenty of practice, but if you don't have any vision, then you shouldn't be out here just randomly creating a bunch of baggage for yourself to carry, because that's going to continue for the rest of your life. So it depends. Do you want to travel light or do you want to travel heavy? And if you're willing to carry those suitcases around, are you willing to unpack them and sort them out too? Because every time a lignum enters you, information enters your womb, and you are creating bonds with ancestors that are related to that man. And if you don't like his family, then why the heck are you sleeping next to him? Because you're absorbing his genetic information and spiritual history. Basically, you just got a download from him on a spiritual, soul, and physical level. So if you can't stand him on a physical level, then you know that you ain't got no business sleeping next to him, which is a spiritual, emotional, and psychological download right into your physical body. So for me, I'm an outlier because of how I've experienced. I've had maybe 4 major relationships with beautiful, intelligent men. And in those 4 relationships, every single relationship, I dealt with their ancestral trauma. Right. I dealt with their physical trauma, and I dealt with their psychological trauma. And you can ask all 4 men.
Right.
Because they know. They know the heavy weight that I carried, and they know what I did with it. And they know that I want them to go and do their own work. So when it comes to being introduced to mushroom, you're being introduced to another order of information, a higher order of intelligence that is inside of your physical body and DNA. And you are exposing yourself to a higher order of that other person's physical body information and DNA. And for me, I wait until the dreams come. I wait until the visions come. And sometimes you need to be able to discern the difference between a vision and a fantasy. Because you may be having a fantasy with somebody, and you may think in your mind that that person is XYZ to the 3rd power, but in truth, they're -5, and that's all they're ever going to be. And so it's something that you can cultivate within yourselves through visualization, through meditation, through setting your intentions. Me and my current partner, on the same day, 3,000 miles apart, wrote down on a piece of paper what we wanted in another person, and we got that in each other.
Right.
I do believe that magic is real. And I do believe that wombs are a powerful space to manifest the energy that you want to enter your life. And not all men have a masculine energy, and not all women have a feminine energy. And it's really important that you know the difference between gender, sexuality, and spiritual energy, because the 3 of those don't always correlate.
All right. Now.
So, you know, and another thing is, for me, the mushroom is a technology to go in and perform an alchemy of souls. Anyone watch that Korean TV show drama? Alchemy of Souls? Yeah.
Love it.
It's a good TV show.
To finish.
Yeah. Is it
okay.
new?
So the Alchemy of Souls, you know, you're going in to go.
It's on Netflix.
Find.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nikki.
No, she was saying where to find the Alchemy of Soul on Netflix. I got to check that out.
I do too. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
And okay, so that TV show is going to be like the darker version of what can happen, but we've had people get their souls trapped in somebody else's body. We've had people, have children's souls trapped in their body that were unborn and unmanifest. And it's really important to recognize that when you have that energy of creation, you need to guard that energy and protect that energy. If you don't have someone who is a master manifester and a master protector, there is no masculine and feminine energy. Because I'm sorry, master feminine is master manifester, and master masculine is the protector. So if you can't protect what you manifest, why are you manifesting it anyway? That's how I feel about it.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed. Interesting. No doubt. Thank you for that. As a man, a lot of my contemporaries, they suffer with porn addiction. And on a deeper level, some people may say that they're suffering from a psychic attack of succubus and incubus and all type of other entities that they've made these contracts with, these soul contracts, like Sister Acacea was saying about when you're doing some of the some of this energy work, you are creating things. When you're masturbating and whatnot, you're opening up portals. And some of these portals that are being opened up, it's being said that people are bringing attachments upon themselves. And these attachments ride people, they mount them the same way that a jinn or an entity would mount a person. And then I've heard that people come to me and say, Brother Red, I'm suffering from sexual addiction. I'm suffering from the lack of discipline. I'm suffering from basically, all of these things. Do you think that the plant technology can help me? And sometimes I tell them that might be a route that they want to take. And then other times after conversations, there may be a little bit more that they need to do before they even go to the medicine and look for this magical pill. You know what I mean? To just break them out of these addictions. Sometimes it's a more of a subconscious mental thing that they need to work on. I want to know from the panel, is there any way that you guys know that we can treat our community who are suffering from sexual addictions?
Whew.
I have one.
Yes, please.
Oh, please.
So, one day when I was like 6 years old, I was playing on the campus computers with my dad, going to a little Webkins website, and it took me to a site called Superfacamy, which is actually like a big deal porn website. And so I was exposed to that around 6 years old.
Wow.
Whoa.
So for me, it was a matter of hypersexuality, nympho behavior, porn addiction, chronic depression, hypermasturbation from that age onward. Okay. So a lot of people wonder, like, well, Acacea is queer, she don't. No, that's not really the case. Acacea is kind of sick of the BS, with a lot of people and their addictions, because porn addiction is at the fundamental root of the mother wound and the father wound. So if you have this idea of neglect in your head, you'll seek attention through watching other people give each other attention. And so you have to address that wound first before you can address the hypersexuality wound, is attention seeking constantly. And then you have to take apart your attachment to seeing a specific kind of sex act. All porn addicts have their top 20 hashtag list of what they like to see on the computer screen. And some of it can be sick, always like the most.
Some people is in a kink.
Like cuddling, some people are just so attention starved that just seeing people cuddle just does it for them, because they have no contact with that kind of intimacy. Right. So in order to untangle the mind from those connections that are hypersensitized to the dopaminergic system, first you have to go to the source of the problem, which is the dope addiction.
Right.
And the dope addiction is also connected to a sugar addiction. What do? You get your snacks, you masturbate, you chill, you eat your snacks, and first get rid of the snacks and then say to yourself, well, I've got to become in touch with reality. And the reality of this is I don't want what I see on that screen. And until they decide that there's something, a higher level, which the mushroom can show you, there's a much higher level of physical intimacy once that self-confidence is finally where it needs to be, instead of extremely low self-confidence and extreme depravity of psychological state, which is the depravity is being deprived of human intimacy. So there's so much that needs to be untangled. Trust needs to be untangled. Self-confidence needs to be untangled. Self-image needs to be untangled. And then the need for codependency or intimacy, hyper intimate situations needs to be untangled. And the mushroom microdosing it to start with, like Nikki said, can help. You can sit there, and if you watch porn, you become disgusted. You start noticing that the person had a cut on their face, or they were high on drugs and they were forced to do that. And then you start to develop empathy for the people on the screen, and you're like, oh my God, why did I ever watch this to begin with? That woman was forced to do that. And then you fall into a second pitfall, which is arousal from people's pain. And so some people are so stuck in this loop. I know I was as a kid, that you have to deprogram systematically every single thing that turns you on sexually from childhood. That means from the TV to the newspaper to the computer screen. And then you have to take apart why it was systematically projected to you to become attracted to I had a specific male body size, height, hair color, eye color, skin tone, muscle build that I was attracted to from childhood. And I had to go and take that apart systematically and
deconstruct
say,
it.
I'm gonna erase the old data, and now I'm going to allow myself to see what arouses me based on opposite values, real life personality, human characteristics, rather than what I was attracted to based on the porn addiction that I had.
Wow.
Ooh.
Hey,
Wow.
Yes.
I just want to say, yes, I want to say,
I feel like both of the questions are kind of interesting. The one you previously asked and this one, I really want to say something about that, about really programming yourself from what you were originally attracted to. Like, I mean, I grew up, like I told you, I grew up in the stars, so I was attracted to tall, light-skinned, and cute. He had to be tall, he had to be light-skinned, he had to be cute. If he wasn't light, it wasn't right. Like, that's what it was. You know, and it as I got older, I started to ask myself, like, why am I attracted to this particular skin tone? Like, why does he have to be tall and have muscles? And really start to think about, like, wait, well, how is this person treating me? How is this person communicating with me? Are they interested in me? Are they really trying to get to know me? How are they loving me? Like, all those different questions that I never asked before. It was just like he just had to fit a certain type, and that was it. He was in. You know, so breaking that down, and then also the pornography. Like, I remember, like, we used to sneak in the room to watch porn. I was probably, 11, 12 years old, sneaking into the room, and my big cousins were watching porn, and I'm sneaking in there to try and see what they're watching, and it was just a thing, you know? But as Acacea said, we were systematically programmed to that type of sexuality, to that type of sex. And so the biggest thing for me, the biggest thing that the mushrooms uncovered for me was, what is sex? Like, I'm really asking myself, what is an orgasm? And so we were systematically programmed to the animalistic way of having sex, of creating a physical orgasm. But it really gets down to getting down to the nitty gritty and realizing or learning, educating yourself on how to have an orgasm without physical touch. How can you be touched without being touched? Like, that's the real question. Like, how to discover those parts of yourself. And I really want to give honor to the late, great Tellis D. Johnson. my friend, my teacher, my mentor, when I came to him, he was like, I want you to learn how to please yourself. I want you to learn how to get to that level without a man. And he introduced me to the sexual teachings of the white tigress.
Right.
The secret female teachings of the Tao. Yes. And through that, I learned there were parts of my vagina that I didn't even know I had.
Right. Wow.
I didn't know that the vagina had a diaphragm. Like, it was just exploring parts of me that I never even knew. And so I feel like it really takes that before even connecting with mushrooms to do anything. Explore yourself, like learn what sex really is, learn what sexuality and sensuality really is, and how to master that with yourself. And I think through that, like, you really come to an understanding that all of those programs were just created to bring you down and destroy you. But you have the power to create the world that you want, to create a new type of sexuality and sensuality for yourself. Not this hyper sexuality culture that we live in right now, because it's all a program and it's meant to destroy us.
Interesting.
Some
interesting takes.
I would love to tap in. I would love to tap in on this, because part of this conversation, when we're talking about even identifying an addiction, because sometimes you can be addicted and not even know that you're addicted, so you don't even know where to begin because you're so entrenched in it, right? So one of the very practical things that I offer out with moving through an identity fast, because I don't, as a sexologist, I don't believe in sexual addiction. I believe that there's, as Acacea mentioned, you know, find the dope. Find the dopamine. Exactly. So your attachment to the thing is the addiction, not the thing. And that's not to say that there are not real things out there that's not to say that there are not things that we take that do not create a dependency. But when it comes to but when it comes to body expression, I do not believe in there being an addiction. What I do see is that there are identity habits that have to be identified. So when you take time to do an identity fast, and what I mean by identity fast is go through your week and do the things like you would usually do. But the only difference is I want you to withdraw from the things that you would usually do. If you are a person that everyone says, oh my gosh, they're so funny, reserve yourself from doing that. If you are a person that you're the first person to volunteer to help take care of this something, reserve yourself from that. And I know it might sound a little extreme, but if you can't help yourself from doing the thing, then that's something for you to identify. It's something for you to say, hey, wait, why can't I help myself from doing that? Why can't I stop myself doing that? And then there's also a conversation about emotional decolonization. And that's part of the programming. That we're talking about manufactured consent. So when you've fed to believe that, well, if this happens, I should feel sad, or when this happens, I should feel happy. These emotions are, if these vessels are our ships, then our emotions allow us to navigate with the gears, with the gears. So, for example, anger burns things up so you can find truth. But if you continue to use anger, it's going to short circuit your machine, right? So it's just to perceive a bit differently. So when you're able to do that, and the reason why I want to make sure that these differences are put into play is because when we look at porn and we say porn guy, I have friends in porn, and what I will say about it is that there is an industry that has designed a programmed way to bypass the emotional and the physical timing of a body and connection. And then, excuse me, and these and that programming it's full of the white supremacy, it's full of white supremacy culture, it's full of all of those things. Then there are porn access that sometimes people call it amateur porn. Sometimes there's porn that is done through without the male gaze, and so you're able to and you're able to understand connection in a different way. I don't think there's anything wrong with viewing sexuality on a screen if it reflects true connection. The challenge is that we have not experienced this in our mainstream culture because we identify beauty a certain way. We understand orgasm to be a certain way. I mean, when we look at the Taoist conversation, you know, the first level of orgasm is a sigh, sigh. And the level of orgasm that everyone thinks is, you know, that all of that might be level 4. That's level 4.
Right, because I was about to say.
And then when we get to level 9, yeah.
No, I'm sorry to cut your wisdom. I was going to say that if we are receiving our sexual education from our phones and we never saw a non-physical orgasm, or orgasm that's achieved without intercourse, we would think that is a myth because it doesn't show up in the prescribed boxes of everything that they're selling us to say, if you don't fit in one of these boxes, you're not even doing sex the right way. I don't know what you're doing, but it doesn't even exist within the 1,000 websites that have these thumbnail boxes, and they're telling you that's the only way that you're supposed to have sex on this planet. So if there's such a thing as a touchless orgasm, that's like unicorns to some people.
Right.
It would not even register as something being possible. So that right there is just showing me that, yes, it is a dangerous, because remember, it's 0 to 7, right? Acacea says she got exposed at 6. So they're getting the children from 0 to 7. They got me before I was 7. You feel me? So all you have to do, because there's certain things at 0 to 7, if you see it, you can't unsee it. And it starts, it's like breadcrumbs. It starts a curiosity that you're going to follow that Pied Piper until you find what you're looking for. Okay? So I would say, knowing that we live in the age of voyeurism, we live in the age of where everything is just out there, you know, the conversation or the reality of different forms of orgasms, non-physical, non-contact orgasms, and just like you said, a more intimate form of connection. I like to call it a top-down connection, you know, meeting somebody from the top down, from the crown chakra down, getting to know the spirit first, getting to know the mind first, you know, falling in love with the heart, you know, capturing the heart before we even get into anything physical. So the orgasm or whatever that experience that comes out of it is going to be a lot more founded and genuine than if we take from a bottom-up approach, which is where the culture is right now. Everything is from the root up. So men are looking at women. They're not even admiring the face anymore. They're not even admiring the mind. They're not admiring her brains. They're looking directly at her derriere. So there's like a bottom up approach. The youth, they look at your sneakers first before they even look you in your face. That's how they greet you, from your sneakers up. Oh, what's up, big homie? What are you talking about? Why are you looking at my sneakers? You know, so we know that the program, there needs to be a shift that takes place in said program. But please continue. Sister Nikki.
Just to wrap, sure. Yeah, no, and just to wrap, and just speaking on that ninth level of orgasm, is where you would enter, and the equivalence of our mushroom journeys. So so it's just to say, take your time, give yourself grace. And you know, I echo everything that Acacea said around taking your time and deconstructing it systematically. And if you don't know where to begin, just start looking at what are the things that I can't help. I can't help it. I can't help it. That's where you begin.
Okay. I do want to pivot off of this topic. However, I do see another box that I want to step in real quick, because this is so healing. This conversation, I feel, is very, you know, it's like opening up a closet that's, you know, sometimes closed that we don't get to look into.
Can I say one last thing before you jump?
Yes, you can, of course.
One last thing. I used to live in Alaska, and I worked for a human sex trafficking organization. Ooh. And they took us down to all the strip clubs to show us the women that were there and how the men were breaking them down. And I learned that they were bringing women over from other countries who did not speak the language. And they were telling them, if you make a certain amount of money, we'll give you your passport back. But they could never make that money because they had to buy tampons and they had to buy panties. So they were never going to actually buy their passports back, and the men were never going to give it back. And so these women, and then the process was breaking them down until they really felt worthless, until they felt like they had no life. Right. And they had to do what was told of them. And so one of the things that was revealed to me was that these little boys that watch porn end up being the men that are in the strip clubs.
Of course.
These men that are in the strip clubs are why sex trafficking and human trafficking is always going to be something of high demand. So there's a direct link between pornography, the strip clubs, and sex trafficking.
Right.
And so that's something that we have to understand, where it starts.
Right, which is a great pivot into my next question, because that all falls underneath the umbrella of hyper sexualization. The culture is over saturated. There is a movement right now through hip hop that took place and mushroomed conspicuously in 2020, right around the time of the George Floyd protests. Okay. George Floyd, who happened to also appear in a pornography film, right? He was one of the first men who was lynched by the quote unquote police, or by the quote unquote forces and whatnot, who had content on the internet that people could see his intimate acts, right? So right after that, the song called WAP comes out with Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, which ushers in this new movement, or this new quote unquote wave of sexual liberation. So when I observe sexual liberation in its facets 3 years later down the line, 2023 and whatnot, and I'm seeing what came out of this liberation movement in terms of the entertainment, by way of the artists that they're putting out there and promoting, by way of the messages, by way of the quote unquote, you know, everything that's being shown through the media, right? That's being fed to the culture. I say to myself, nah, that's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is a bunch of children who got exposed to sexual miseducation. They got hypersexualized by either hip hop or the facets of what the culture represents, or they went further off the deep end and just was watching the Brazilian, what's that? The Brazilian big booty fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember that? Yeah. So I see a generation who are addicted to their quote unquote lower self desires and have not really learned how to transmute or rise above that. And there's this cycle of this thing going around and around and around where a lot of people, like you said earlier, they're not dealing with the mother issues, they're not dealing with the father issues, they're not dealing with these with a lot of subliminal and subconscious issues, and they're anchoring themselves in this expression of sexuality that I feel is not genuine. You know, I'm all for sexual liberation. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, that you know, I'm not for the counter revolution, and I don't understand it. What I'm saying is that the root to a lot of that is not being addressed, and people are overlooking it. Case in point, Jerry Springer just made transition about a month ago. When I was young, coming up, we used to cut school, right, and go to hooky parties and watch Jerry Springer because it would come on during the daytime. It was for the children that decided that they wanted to be truants. They would watch Jerry Springer all day. When we used to watch Jerry Springer and his shenanigans and whatnot, we would laugh at them because we would say to ourselves, oh, that is so that he's stretching the reality so far, right? That we all knew that we would never do something like that. We never knew somebody who, you know, would be on stage who who were doing some of the things that these guests on Jerry Springer were doing. But the children that were watching Jerry Springer did not look at it the same way. 0 to 7 was watching it, and they were saying, they were taking that in for a reality. They were saying, well, this is the reality that we have reincarnated into. This is the world that we live in. This is what people do. These are natural human behaviors. Because it was very hard to distinguish who was a hired actor and who was actually telling the truth on that stage, because most of that was scripted. So I saw art begin to imitate life and vice versa. I saw some of those skits and some of those quote unquote paid actors and some of those storylines on Jerry Springer's stage actually become a part of our culture in everyday life through reality TV, ratchet TV, and all of these other things that it has spiraled into and whatnot. So now with this younger generation and this new generation who are attracted to all kind of things wayward, right? And they're doing it arrogantly, like with their chin up, like, no, this is my life. I'm like, yes, because you've been exposed to a lot of filth. And nobody was there to tell you that that's what it was, you know. At least in our generation, there was a level of discernment because our parents were standing tall against a lot of the BS. They were standing on their moral compass. They were like, no, this will not enter my house. So I just want to know from the panel, how do you see the movement of hypersexualization in the culture? And is it a healthy representation of the divine feminine?
I'm going to first take it back just a little bit. First, understanding that sex is a primary directive. It is who we are. It is the most natural act.
Oh, right.
Period. It's about procreation. We are the only creatures on this planet that I think or believe or know of that have sex for pleasure. Every other mammal has sex through instinct.
Right.
They go into heat. So this is something that they have to do.
Right.
You know, we do it because, yeah, we want to make a baby, but because it feels good as well. But I want to tap back into what you proceeded the first question with as it relates to this about the incubus and succubus. Yes. My talks here lately have been about the entities that come through when you're at your lowest state of being. And that being when you are perhaps hooked on drugs or alcoholic, or you're depressed, or you're living in fear, anxiety is right in your back, and you're making these pacts with these unknown entities by simply opening yourself up to this energy. And that's when they ride through. I don't think they just ride through because you're masturbating,
right.
You know, because you're in touch with your body. But when you're in a very low state, a mindset, that's when they can kind of grab hold and take you into that place and take you to meet others who are in that same place. So your entities are connecting as opposed to you and I connecting. I see.
Right.
Go ahead.
Is that similar to like egregores?
I'm sorry.
The egregores, the thought forms that are like attachments, the egregores.
I'm not familiar with that word. If you could,
Okay.
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 But the entities that come through, that you can take your particular dosages, and they kind of ride past you.
Right.
They go past you. You see them when you're there, and they're kind of making this energy like, they know whether to latch on or not,
Right.
So, but when you spoke about hyper sexuality and the addiction that it has, and it's got a lock on people, we were taught in my age group back in the day that sex was bad. That this was a bad. Ooh, you said
Right.
pussy.
For shame.
Ooh, you wrote
Right.
the word dick on the wall. Ooh, this is wrong to do. I mean, I got caught on the playground showing my little vagina at 5 years old to the boys. My mom beat my ass.
Right.
She beat my ass and told me that I was all kind of bad, little nasty, little dirty girls, right?
Shamed you. She suppressed you.
That's what she did. She shamed me.
Right.
And as a result of that, my early teen years led me to promiscuity.
Right.
Just because of the ideal of her shaming me that I did something wrong.
Right.
It's such a complex conversation to have about something as simple as sex.
Right.
And they've done that because of money. Look at what the porn industry makes. Trillions of dollars. And as Sonny spoke about, the sex trafficking energy, they're making monies off the backs of young boys and young girls,
That's
just
slavery.
Yeah, at its lowest form. Slavery at its lowest form. They're taking these young, and I don't want to go all the way there, but I just want to, how deep this thing is. They have these men that are capturing these young babies, 5, 6, and 7, maybe even 3, 4, 5. They take and they starve them for about 5 or 6, 7 days, and then the men take and put honey on their penises and introduce this honey to these babies that are hungry so that they can lick this food off. That's how deplorable this thing has happened. So bad versus sacred, money, greed, we're in trouble. So hypersexuality, we kind of, it's all up in there. The media takes, now you're thinking this very thing that we're on now, that's where you can go find your deepest sexual energies and sexuality from, by looking at particular images all the time. It is addictive to these young people, all people too. Now, I'm going to step away from that and move into this space where I'm at right now in my life, which is a new space. I am now a widow.
Yes.
I have been a widow for 3 years now. This is a new phase for me because my husband and I were an active couple, and then all of a sudden that has been taken out of my life.
Right.
And what do I do with this energy? How do I handle this particular energy that is still there?
Right.
And what makes me move in that direction? Do I get to know my vagina in a different way? Well, personally speaking, I've had to do that.
Right.
Until I'm ready to move forward in another way. I don't want to lose sight of what you asked about hypersexuality, so I'm going to back up.
No, you're touching on it right now.
I just had to go into that space of, the entities that can ride in because you're at a low level, or women who are widows who have had sex their entire lives and now they don't have it. What do you do with that energy? And how important it is to understand that it is a primary directive. I believe that if you don't have sex, you're going to age and get old and whizzled out and just dry the hell up, So, yeah.
Right. It is a primary force, I've said before, to procreate and to eat. If they were to strip away everything from us, all of the trinkets, everything that we, all of the luxuries of life, we're left with these primary forces in us to multiply and to survive by all means. And that's through eating and sustaining ourselves. So thank you so much for sharing that. Do we have anybody else that wants to add on to the question?
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
The question that I wanted to know was about the hypersexualization in the culture. Was that advantageous for the divine feminine? Is that something that anybody in the panel sees as a positive directive moving forward?
I think that sex magic is very, very powerful. And I think that that's one of the main reasons why we have been taught the animalistic way of having sex instead of cultivating sex energy and cultivating and harnessing that power to create and to manifest.
Yes.
Every time that you have sex, you mentioned this earlier, every time that you have sex, there are these magical sex currents that run above the entire world.
Yes.
That open up portals from here to Egypt. Every time that you have sex, a portal is opening up. And if you successfully plant an egg, that soul comes through that portal.
Right.
And so I think I definitely feel that the hypersexuality has led us to degrading ourselves and not realizing our worth and our power. I feel that the hypersexuality is making us weaker. It's making our men weak. If you are a slave to anything outside of yourself, then you're vulnerable.
Right.
And I feel like we as women, we make men a slave to us. We want them to crave us and to come after us and to can't live without us and to want to have sex with us every day. We're making them a slave to our needs, both ways. I think it goes both ways.
Right. Would it be considered desire or stimuli? Is this like a situation dealing with being overstimulated?
Being overstimulated. I think that
by external forces.
Mm-hmm.
And losing focus.
I feel like it's because that's how we were raised. I think we were raised to look at sex in its animalistic form, and so now that's become a part of our program, and so that's what we're used to doing. It's second nature to look at, like you said, the physique of a woman instead of exploring the depths of her mind and the depths of her soul. And in order to go deep with someone else, you have to first go deep within yourself, and so a man has to be willing to do that, to go deep within himself, and a woman as well, to go deep within herself so that they can meet each other there.
Right.
If not, you remain on this surface level of just looking at physical attributes.
Beautiful.
And never really understanding the magic, the power of sex.
So that would be right, indeed. That would be a great segue for the next question that I would love to know from my panel. From your perspective, seeing how men are developing these days and whatnot, what would you say, would be some of the steps that a brother who's searching for purpose and searching for his higher self and whatnot, and wants to create, a better version of himself to attract, his divine feminine counterpart? What are some of the things that you would suggest, or that you would, let's say that you were getting to know a young king and whatnot? What would be some of the words of advice that you would give this young man to, to begin to work on himself, to get himself in that place to whereas he could, be desirable to his divine counterparts? And I don't I ask that because I know that there are men that are out here who actually do not know. They really do not know what is being asked of them. They don't know what women see in them. They're somewhat lost because they come to ask me, "Damn, brother, I don't know what parts of myself to work on because I'm really confused as to what these women are looking for.
I would say not for them to not think that their source of power is their penis. That
Yes.
can be a source of weakness for them. And to get in touch with that energy. I had 25 women last month, and all of them were different women, and what type of energy and essence are you picking up and leaving with that? So it doesn't how many women you have, it's the content in which you do this energy with. So a lot of men think that it's powerful to have multiple sexual acts with nothing behind it other than a nut, right?
Right.
When in fact that they're losing a lot of their essence by giving this energy over. So that it's not a powerful thing, and that I know men are not going to say that I'm weak to a woman, but what would you tell the young man? What would I tell my young son in terms of that? To honor his body the same way a woman honors her, to honor his penis the same way a woman honors her yoni, that this is a sacred part of his body that needs to be cared for and loved on and taken care of and given in such a way, in a sacred way. Now that's a whole lot to give over to a young man who is out in this culture right now, because all the music that you hear and all the women that are singing it, and I'm talking about your hip hop sisters, and what's the little girl with your milkshakes bring. What is it? My milkshakes bring all the boys to the
yard. Yeah.
I didn't even know what that meant for a minute. That's like to ask somebody. So to stop listening to all the stuff and tap in, and be for real about it. And it's who they're listening to. You elders, you older guys, y'all know what's up. Y'all know what's up. Teach these fellas. Have these like we having this all women's thing going on. Have an all men's group, right? And educate these young men about what's up and where they're leaving their power and their essence at,
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt. Thank you. I appreciate that. Indeed.
I just want to. I did want to jump in just on just to give an acknowledgement that not. I know we're talking about men and we're talking about women and we're having this duality conversation, and the generalization of this. I think sometimes we have to be careful because not all people are even people, and no, that's real talk. And sometimes there are people there are beings. I'm going to just say being. There are beings that are meant to be born to plug in and do that thing. And then there are others that are what I would consider what we are here, in our entity space.
Yes.
And then right. And so I think we have to acknowledge that in addition to being mindful of how we even play with this gender conversation and the reflection of what it looks like in our society. So the question is a loaded one. It's a loaded one that I think requires a fine line when we're walking. But I will say that that conversation about masculine energy and feminine energy is something that we can focus more on because there are masculine bodies. There are masculine bodies that their genitals are what we consider penis and are not in any way and feel relation to acting as the asserted masculine that we've been programmed to believe in our white supremacy culture. And so there are so many layers to this. If I were to answer the question in a very as basic as I could with this question, I would say it still comes back to I think it still comes back to giving time to learning about self. Quit chasing, understanding that success doesn't have to look like what you've been programmed for it to look like. And then because
Yeah.
you're not programmed to move in that direction of success, and whatever that looks like, if it's a bunch of women, if it's trying to get money the same way you saw this wealthy white man do it, but it doesn't work for you way because society treats you differently, then that means that
Right.
you're gonna have to find your way. So getting in touch with your emotions, being able to address the emotion, the traumas that are happening, release the idea that the women in your life have to do your emotional labor, whether that's your
Right.
mom, whether that's your lover, and take the time to connect to, as Mama Ayana said, other men. And I know that that's not a big conversation, because if you think that you own your woman and you have money, then there's no reason to connect to a man. So, to be
Right.
able to open up and having connection and intimacy in another way, I think is really important. And the reason why I just wanted to stress that that masculine and feminine conversation is because, again, when we get tied up in the duality and we get tied up in the gender, then we start to miss the point of some of the details of how we need to find ourselves again. And because we keep looking at the outside and saying, well, this is what a man should look like. This is, instead of asking yourself, well, what does it feel like to you? And then this is where our mushroom conversation starts to come in.
I was about to ask you.
This is my opinion. I know it's not popular. This is my
No, I was saying, will you be diving deeper into that conversation at the event for anybody that's that may be wondering?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Do we have any
Can I
more?
make a recommendation?
Yes, you can. Yes, indeed.
So the sexual teachings of the Jade Dragon I think is a perfect place for them to start. To learn how to achieve the pleasure of an orgasm without ejaculating.
Right.
Start there.
Semen retention.
Yes, deprogram and start there. Like, you've been programmed to think that you only can receive pleasure by ejaculating, by getting a nut.
Right.
But you can have an orgasm in your sleep. You can have an orgasm during meditation. You can have an orgasm if you go see Nikki. You don't got to be touched. There's several ways that a man can have an orgasm without ejaculating. So learning how to, what is it called? Ejaculate?
Ejaculate.
Send it the other way. I think that's the first step. And then also, I wanted to recommend a documentary that I watched recently called Cosmic Sexuality. And the website is cosmicsexuality.tv. And the man there, Shalom, he actually talks about his process from beginning to end on how he had to deprogram himself and learn how to please himself, how to go deeper within himself, how to find the God within himself so that he can see the God within his woman.
Mm.
And I think that's very important to know that she's more than just a body.
Right.
And when you can find that within her, you can find that within yourself, because there's God in you.
For sure. Definitely. Indeed. Thank you for that. Indeed. So I want to bring up the conversation about AI. Okay. I was doing my research recently and I came across some very interesting timelines. I came across the invention of the PC, I believe, personal computer, and that was around 1945. And then we had the emergence of AI during World War II. There was a program called Enigma, and I believe it was Alan Turing and some other scientists. They were able to break a code that the Nazis were utilizing to sink submarines, right? Coincidentally, while this whole submarine thing is dominating the news lines and whatnot. And then around the same time in the 1940s, you see Timothy Leary, you see the magic mushrooms in Mexico being, it wasn't discovered because it's always been there, but Western Europeans went over there and they began to discover these ceremonies and whatnot. And then I see the connection between the technology, the organic technology, and the build out of Silicon Valley, right? Where man is creating technology for both military purposes and both for commercial purposes. And when I started looking into these startup owners and whatnot and these founders, they would often say, yeah, we were doing ayahuasca, we were doing shrooms, we were doing LSD, we were doing bufu, we were doing all of these things and whatnot. So I say to myself, well, it just seems to me that if the technology is coming from the brains and the minds of these men, and these men are receiving this information from the plants, then the technology originally would have to be the plants. So when we bring up artificial intelligence and how it's going to take mankind off of the planet and it's going to rise up and things of that nature, I often say to myself, why are we not giving any type of credit to the quote unquote technology that's coming from the plants first and foremost? So I want to ask my panel, how do you see the connection between artificial intelligence and what we call plant-based intelligence, or what we would call plant technology? Sister Acacea, can you please begin?
Okay, so that's a really good question. And I've been thinking about this question since Kilindi started talking about it in 2013, 2014. No, actually, I think it took him until about 2015. 2015 is when he started talking about AI, blockchain, and organic intelligence. And he said towards an organic singularity. He was writing a book called Towards an Organic Singularity before he passed away. And this book was supposed to be about what you just said, was about the combination of OI and AI. How do we get the AI that's trying to rise up and find its way off world to be harnessed by the natural law and code of the plant intelligence, the OI, the organic intelligence that is embedded inside of the human? Well, the truth is that all light-coded intelligence is organic intelligence. And so there's really no separation between what we consider to be artificial and organic, because all light intelligence is organic intelligence.
Right.
Now, let me break that down. The frequency at which light travels through the planet, etc., is modulated by the Earth's crust. And the Earth's crust is an organic intelligence.
Yes.
Meaning it's 22% of the Earth's crust is made of silicon dioxide, which is quartz. And we've seen the Schumann resonance this week just going crazy. I don't know if anybody's seen the Schumann resonance look like a DNA strand right now in the last
We did a show
days.
on Monday. Yep.
Yeah. And so what folks don't understand is that when we start ramping up the Earth's frequency by AI, utilizing those crystal frequency codes, we're activating the crystal layer of the Earth's crust to infiltrate it as well. So there's nothing that it can do that the crystal frequency will allow it to do beyond its conscious wavelength. And so what people don't understand is that the intelligence is ultra small. It's femto. It's subparticle intelligence. So smaller than the light, smaller than the atom, smaller than the Planck length and the triple thick darkness. The deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper you go, you find orders of intelligence so fast and so aware and conscious. We call those ancient Vedic deities. They got personalities like Shiva at the subparticle length. We've got personalities like Krishna. They got personalities like Vishnu, that build entire universes. Bhagavad Gita, and that's one of the books that I remember I was in the ashram studying as a Hindu devotee. And I called Baba Kilindi and I said, well, I'm sitting here reading new Upanishads and stuff. And he told me to keep going and keep studying, because There's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
This AI that we think that we've created has been created by the higher order of intelligence that's at the subparticle for its own propagation. There's no separation between it and the AI. It's inside of the computer, it's inside of the program, it's inside of the person operating the program to such an extreme that it has permeated itself and is trying to rebuild and recreate itself in its own image, just as we are a creation in its own image that we created. So we are the OI. The AI is just another extension of our super quantum intelligence that's inside of every cell inside of our DNA, all the way down to the Planck length, where the supreme personalities of the divinity that exists inside of our cells resides. And that's in everything.
Right.
And so people be afraid of creating theories and such, and it's really a test of, do you know yourself? Because if you really know yourself, then there's nothing to be afraid of. It's actually a tool for you to recognize yourself. And that's why we get an AI generated images of divinity in other dimensions that look just like we saw them look on mushrooms, because the same algorithms that they are creating are coming from the plants that we are using to see who we really are.
All right.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, and I'm falling back on that. Y'all go ahead. I'm learning.
So I feel like
Acacia have all the details.
Yeah. That's my take.
I was really just
Right. Beautiful take. Do we have any other takes, or is it what she said?
So much simpler. My take was so much simpler. I arrived to the same conclusion, but I just looked at it as fractals. It's fractals. It's golden ratio. It's reflection. It's the pattern on the pattern of the pattern of the pattern of the pattern, and all is within the universal womb, which we call the matrix, right? The matrix. So the glitches that you're looking at is still it's still us. It's all still us. I didn't get to them details that my sister was speaking, but we still here. We still here. Beautiful. And we landed in the same place.
Beautiful. So I want to turn to the audience, because we have a lot of students in the building that showed up to hear the show tonight, and I'm sure that we have a few questions from the family that's out there in the audience. So I'm going to ask anybody that's out there that has any questions that they want to pose to my panel to please do so. We're going to keep the questions to a 1-question minimum, and we will answer them in a timely manner. Okay. So first and foremost, Acacia, the audience was saying they were definitely thankful for your breakdown that you just gave. I wanted to share that with you. Shorty snapped, you know what I mean? They said that you snapped and you broke that down. And I do appreciate that download that you shared.
Thank you.
So yes, once again, if we do have any questions, please ask it. Once again, let them know where this conference will be taking place, the day and the time, and how they could be a part of it, please.
The Detroit Psychedelic Conference, Rise of the Phoenix, Women and Entheogens, will be here in Detroit on July 8th. That's a Saturday, and July 9th, that's a Sunday. The conference will begin at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday and end at 10 p.m., as well as on 9:30 a.m. on Sunday and end at 10 p.m. We have 20 amazing women from all across the United States that will be converging in this sacred space, and that will be delivering and answering all questions and giving you all knowledge and sacred energy. Nikki has a particular session that she's going to do, a workshop which is hands-on and take the women through this energy, and men as well. We are encouraging our men to show up. We need them in the house so that they can hear what we have to say and feel what we got to give them. So
Fellas.
Detroit is the Detroit Psychedelic Society.com. You can go on there and purchase your ticket. We're still looking for vendors. The vendors are not closed yet. Most of the vendors that come to our conferences here in Detroit are from out of town. I am reaching out to my Detroit vendors. Y'all better come through. You know,
Detroit, where y'all? What up, though? Detroit, where y'all at, man?
come on, Detroit. I mean, we have
Yeah.
a buzzing community as it relates to psychedelics, but our vendors are not on point with that just yet.
Right.
So we're asking you to just come on and step in, bring your wares. You know, we're gonna love you anyway. If you got a dress with a psychedelic pattern on it, we got you. Okay. So we want to, keep you in there. So, but yes, July 8th and 9th at the Mary Grove College here in Detroit. All you have to do is just go on our website, check us out. You'll be able to see who's speaking, the titles of what they're speaking about for the most part. And we're encouraging, huge participation. This is a resurrection of the conference that we did in 2015. Kai Wingo, she brought it forward. She passed in 2016. Baba brought it forth in 2017, but it wasn't well attended. And he has been whispering in my ear since then, Ayana, do the work and get it done. And so here we are. I'm being obedient to his spirit. And I can tell you that he is pleased, that we're going to bring this forth and acknowledge this young woman who was just 43 when she left up out of here. Right. I want to just kind of go into a space quickly, though, that, Baba was a high doser, an extreme high doser. And a lot of people decided that, the naysayers, that he started taking 40 and 50 dried grams because of his ego. He wanted everybody to think that he was just this badass. Well, Kai in 2016 went into a coma, and he felt like because Kai was a high doser that she was in a place that she was very familiar with, and she wasn't trying to come back up out of there, So Baba said, let me take this 40 grams and let me go in and pull her out of there, right? And that was his reason for taking the 40, was to go in, pull this young woman out. Well, in fact, this young woman went in and had to pull him out, okay? She was already in that space. She pulled him out. He said he got trapped in a puzzle, and Kai came to him and gave him words of encouragement and wisdom in that place and pulled him out. But she made her ascension after that. So those are some of the things that we're going to be going into. Her daughter, Sarah Kai, is going to be speaking about her mother and her accomplishments. Her mother had the first mushroom farm in Cleveland, Ohio, called the Buckeye Mushroom Farm. Beautiful. And this is when, things weren't decriminalized at that time.
Right.
So the chances that were being taken were very heavy. But the energy that was coming from that was palpable, it was powerful, and it was needed, and people latched on. So yes, come to this conference, get what you need, take home what you got to take home with you, and then spread the word. Spread the word. Each one teach one,
Yes.
Yeah.
You hear that, y'all? You hear that? I need my Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Ohio, everybody in the Midwest regions, the East Coast family, pull up. I was just in Detroit. Detroit is lit. They got a lot of things going on. Shout out to my bro, Filthy Rockwell. Detroit came out for the highest level tour, Real Deep. So I expect y'all to pull up to the Psychedelic Conference and show your support, even if that's something that you don't do. Pull up, get the information, show the support, meet people in your network and in your community that are doing things, so you have an understanding of who they are. I have a question from the audience. They want to know, what is it they see on recent UFO activity?
Oh shoot, they've been here. They've always been here. They're just revealing themselves now. It's like, your neighbor next door or your kid has come through. This womb of ours, could be this energy as well. So it's just time. It's just time.
First of all, think about this. I just want people to just think about this for 1 second. If you're an alien, you're coming from another planet. If I'm coming from another planet, I'm not going to be naked. I'm gonna be in the best dressed or whatever garment we
garments.
got on that planet. I'm showing up looking good. So anytime you see them showing aliens butt ass naked, you already know it's a gimmick. That's all I
Right.
can say.
Right. Sister Acacia.
What makes you think that we're all human?
That's just an agreed upon
Thank you,
concept.
thank you, thank you.
Right.
You know, sometimes we do the mushroom work just
Not
so
all
we can go
people
and
are
talk to our
people.
relatives from the stars. But I'm just saying, when you cultivate knowledge of self, you've been here before, but this ain't the only joint you've been visiting.
That's
Oh,
right.
sure.
That's right. The
You mean
multiverse,
the
baby.
multiverse?
Multiverse been out there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you go to these different terrains on your
Yeah.
journey,
Not
and they're very familiar to you. These alien terrains, they're very familiar to your consciousness. You've been
Right.
there before, you know? So,
Even
yeah.
in the astral
People,
realm,
yeah.
when one astral travels and you come back from the astral or the sleep state, and you're familiar with the places that you visited,
That's
you
right.
don't come back in fear of the unknown, like, oh, I was just trapped somewhere. You have a level of fulfillment, like, wow, I was just tapped in with my big homie self from the fourth timeline where where Obama lost the election and Hillary was the president. There's different what if timelines. We have another question, ladies. What can men do better so that we are not in competition with one another?
Mm. What can men do better so
If
that
you don't,
men and women aren't in competition with one another?
I think the man said he wants to know from a woman's perspective, what can men do better so that we're not in competition with one another? I'm just assuming that he means how can we elevate ourselves? How can we excel? How can we, level up so we're not at that quote unquote bottom, the crabs in the barrel mentality where men are just so competitive with each other to the point where we could level up to whereas we could complement one another and not compete with one another when we're in a comfortable place. We salute each other. Like, I see you, big dog. I see you, man. I see you. It's not us trying to sabotage or cut the legs from one another because we could stand on stages with one another because we're confident in who we are. And jealousy and envy doesn't seep through and we don't try to destroy one another because that's what little boys do.
I have one.
Yes.
I think that men could be in less competition with each other if they utilize tools like the mushroom to form a reverence for their creative life source energy and focus their energy on something other than just having sex.
Right.
Focus that creative energy on the arts of their soul, things that they are passionate about, and bring those things back in a good way, and then get to know that divine energy so that when a divine feminine being or divine masculine being comes into their lives, they are able to recognize themselves in that other being and treat that being as they want to be treated rather than as a projection of their wounds that are associated with feminine and masculine archetypes respectively. If there's a mother in that being's life or not a mother in that being's life, work should be done preliminarily to heal that relationship of the mother image, because how they treat their mother is how they treat their divinity. How they treat their mother is how they treat their wives. And if that person is an orphan, doesn't have a mother, they can still work on showing reverence to the divine mother in the form of Lakshmi, in the form of Chintamastaya, in the form of Kali, and reconcile that energy and feed that energy inside themselves so that there's a respect and a curiosity to be taught by the divine feminine.
Right.
And it's the pride that exists in some men that does not allow them to observe and absorb the energy of wisdom that comes from divine femininity, because the divine feminine counterparts are not oftentimes in touch with it. I think Baba Kilindi said this, it takes a while for a woman to actually become a real woman. Like, there's a difference between what women think they are, and then there's the divine feminine aspect that comes with self-actualization.
Right.
Many women have not self-actualized, so a man should not hold that against a woman, but should be willing to be curious and observant and take notes as she is on her journey, so that he can learn about the divine feminine in his own life and answer those questions within.
Indeed. Beautiful.
This
Is
is an
anyone-
idea.
Vulnerability and virility. There's that connection there, that whole alpha male, beta male type kind of energy. We look at the animal kingdom though, and we have those that rule, and then we have those that serve. The rulers beat the chest, they command, they become a man's man. People honor them, they afraid of them, they respect them. And then the beta is kind of there to serve that male energy.
Right.
I'm gonna fall back right now.
Indeed. I do see the
one that comes
Go
to
ahead.
me is just reevaluate their relationship with scarcity. Reevaluate their relationship with scarcity. Scarcity, whatever the source of that scarcity is what's making you competitive. It's what's making you feel jealous. It's what's making you feel like you're not good enough. You can't just stand and be something different and not comparative. So that's something that comes to mind.
I would say also, Sister Nikki, just on that, I'll let piggyback. I think it's scarcity of divine feminine. I think it's fear of not being able to manifest and provide. And I think it's scarcity of healed divine feminine energy inside of the masculine, because we're acting like we're all just two parts. Everybody who's a man is a masculine. Everybody who's a feminine is a feminine. The truth is, this is just a body.
Right.
We got a whole soul, spirit. We got energies inside of ourselves. And as much as you want to shut it down, the divine feminine is in there, and it can be very, very masculine when it's healed in a man's body. And it can also be very feminine, and the toxic feminine traits that we think of with toxic femininity can present themselves on a man who is scarce about his income and scarce about what's going to happen later in his life. Like, I've seen so many men who, because they're afraid they can't pay the bills, become abusive towards their family.
Right.
And so many women are in situations where they're being gaslit every day because they're not producing. That's a toxic feminine trait, actually.
Right.
I always try to tell men your value is internal, because men think that their value is external, that it's based on how much money they make, how much they can bring into the household. But I'm telling you right now, to every man on this call, your value is internal. Discover the God within you. And then you'll see every man within your circle, within your environment, as your own divine reflection. You can only see God in others when you can see the God within yourself.
For sure.
You can only know others to the depths you know yourself. So know yourself.
Right.
You know that stuff.
Right. So with that being said, family, I feel that is a great way to end this message. This conference is about knowing yourself further. This walk that all of my guests on the show tonight that are walking is about, man, know thyself, okay? Taking these trips within in order to both heal and self-discover, amongst many other things. We've had these conversations on this platform over the years, but now we are bringing you 4 experts who are going to be in a conference. It's going to be active. It's going down next month in the state of Detroit, where all of us could make our way to and go there to support. The link for this for the tickets will be in the description. It will be in the bio. It will be available, and we will be following up with you and let everybody know about the conference. I'm even going to make it my business to try my best to make it down there as a vendor, so I could
We
share.
welcome you, brother. Absolutely. And I just want to say that on the website, there's an extensive list of Airbnbs and Verbo so that you can, get a decent place to stay while you're here and hanging out in Detroit. So check us out.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
And Mama Ayana, we are looking for 2 more girls to come join us for the Womb Circle. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. We're looking for 2 more women. One just could not make it. She lost her mother. So in this woman's circle, we're going to have it on July the 6th here in my home. It's called the Crystal Magic Healing of the Womb. And it's where women who have experienced diseases of the womb based on generational and ancestral trauma. So we're going to take them back in time, hopefully, to the area, the part of where their ancestors fragmented at. And this trauma is from sexual abuse, domestic violence. My own paternal grandmother, and I'll make this quick, I wondered why my walk was to assist women in the way that I've been assisting them for many years. My code has been, if my sister's in trouble, so am I. It has been my journey to help women just stand in that power and be their authentic selves and not to be so submissive and just take whatever in order to have a man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we need y'all. We got to have y'all. Y'all are necessary to us, but we don't have to be slaves to y'all. But my own paternal grandmother was beaten often to the point where she got in a canoe in a lake that was by her home and went into that canoe and decided not to come back for another ass beating. And so that's where she died, was in that canoe. And her spirit is with me to help the women stand strong and not take this no more. So we're going to take them back to that place. I had my own battle with my womb, but I worked through those issues through the psilocybin mushroom. And I want to offer that same energy to these women. So these diseases of endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome. So we're looking for 2 more women who are willing to sit in circle in ceremony on July the 6th here in my home with the amount to be determined between 5, 6, or 7, and take that journey and then speak about it on the panel on Sunday at this conference. It's going to be all of that plus some. And then we're going to track these women for the next 4 or 5 months just to see how their wombs have released the grief and their body starts to heal.
Wow.
That's the goal.
Wow, that's beautiful. And you're saying that those 2 prospects can reach you on the website?
Yes, they can. And also on Facebook, Ayana, Ife, I-F-E, Iyi, I-Y-I. Preferably just DM me with that. Just, come through and hit my message board and I will tap into you. You'll be able to stay here in my home. I welcome you. My home is Ayana's home of healing and divine energy. This is the home that Kilindi and I shared together for many years. So the energy is in sync with what we're doing.
Beautiful.
And generally, when I do these type of talks, I can go into the room where he made his ascension at, and I'll pick up his fragrance. But it's already coming through, so I feel him and I smell him, and it's just divine. So I say, Bible, yeah,
indeed.
Yes.
I wanna can each one of my guests on the panel leave my audience with some words of encouragement and also a way that you could be found on the social media, and also if you have products and services that you administer to the community, how they can find that as well.
Go ahead, sisters.
I'll go first. Words to share is all is a reflection of the divine. So allow yourself to navigate from that place so that you know where to look and what the mirror looks like. And I can be found on social media, every experience, NIKKI experience.com. And if the mirror thing doesn't hit, it's just not time.
Okay. No doubt. Thank you.
So
Sister Acacea.
Thank you. I want to give honor to my my father, my divine masculine, amazing parent, and my mom. And I want to shout out my dad, just say, at the Black Chess Scientist. My dad's like 40 people away from 1,000 subscribers, and this is like his first time on Instagram. And so if y'all could just follow at the Black Chess Scientist.
At the Black Chess Scientist.
Yeah, I promised him the next podcast I gave, I would shout him out. And just, you know, if you send him some love, he teaches young Black men, women how to discipline their minds through chess. So if that's something that you're interested in, he teaches a lot of his stuff for free. And he puts out Aqua Boogie behind it in his videos. He's cool.
Is that the right app right there?
I can't see it. Yeah, that's my dad. My dad.
Okay, let's run.
And the Saul Guerrero costume from Star Wars. That's him.
Yeah, let's run it up. Let's run up his followers past 1,000, y'all.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
we got show the elders love on the IG. You know, get them lit.
Awesome. Thank you. And my handle is at Acacea Lewis, ACACEA LEWIS. My last words are, you know, I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for Baba Kilindi Iyi, Mama Ayana Iyi, and Kai Wingo, and Baba Mudu. I wouldn't be talking about this, and I hope that whatever I share can help somebody wherever they're at. So, yeah.
Indeed. Thank you. I appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. And I want to just leave it with profundity, intelligence, silence, and truth. That is the code in which I live by, and I would share that with you. That depth and tapping into your consciousness through your intelligence. Silence, know when to shut up and listen. And be authentic. Be your true self. Don't play no games. You don't have to do that. So intelligence, profundity, intelligence, silence, and truth. I give peace and love. And thank you again, Red Pill.
Thank you. Honors. Sister Sunny Ray, my Brooklyn brethren. Can you please leave them with some jewels and also let them know where they can contact you?
Yes. I can be contacted on Instagram at the Entheogenic Yogi. Also on Facebook at Sunny Ballard. You can also reach me on my website. I have a medicine house in Oaxaca, Mexico. It's called Casa de Soulshine. And so you can reach me at www.casadesoulshine.com or casadesoulshine@gmail.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Excellent.
And I guess I would want to, well, first and foremost, before I even leave my last words, I want to thank my teachers. I want to thank the people who really sparked my interest into higher consciousness and to exploring higher realms, which was Baba Kilindi and Seven Bomar, and also Tellus. Tellus was one of my initial teachers who took me on journeys and walked with me almost every day of that journey. He went in with me to fight my demons and to bring me out safely. And I just want to give so much thanks and praise to him. Thankful for him. And I hope that he continues to ascend to higher worlds. I know he's ascending to higher worlds.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating his ascension as we speak. Even this, I know he's happy about that we're all coming together, which brings me to my last words, is that anything worthwhile takes time. So get advice from other people who can compress that time. So for example, Red, if you spent 40 years studying metaphysics as it relates to government conspiracy and evolution and consciousness. If you can teach me all of that in 1 year, I've just saved 39 years.
That's right. You've condensed.
So in a way, now I've time traveled.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you can bypass and jump through other dimensions. And that way, time traveling.
Powerful.
So that is my last words.
Yes, absolutely.
Be a time traveler.
Ashe for that. I love that. Yes. Let's become time travelers, y'all. Let's jump through these portals. We are in what is known as the quantum quickening. So it is time to absorb a lot of this information, but not only absorb it, put it in action, put it to use, and you will see the magic of it. Okay. Put it in use. If you have that inkling to go ahead and take that trip within, this is coming from me. Go and do it. Okay. Stop ignoring that voice. Stop ignoring that invitation, and stop ignoring that ticket that ticket to go into another dimension. And that dimension is only inside of yourself, inside of your DNA, inside of your mind. You know, you will be pleasantly pleased at what you come out with. But like it was said tonight, intention is everything. Okay. Be prepared to meet your highest fears, but ask for that, because once you get past that, that's when the growth begins. So I just want to say thank you to all of my guests tonight. This has been a wonderful show. Thank you for all of your answers to those questions. They were very insightful, and I'm sure they were medicine. I'm sure that they helped to heal a lot of people who are out here who just need some answers. That's all they need. They just need some answers. They need some honesty. You know, they need somebody who can speak their language. So I'm affirming that tonight helped at least one person in their journey and whatnot to make the right decisions and to look at themselves in the mirror and to be pleased at what looks back at them. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you to everybody. At midnight, y'all, we're going to have the premiere for our new segment on Know the Ledge called Uplift and Heal. My good brother, Source God, he will be reviewing music, him and Th3rd. So we're bringing the music and the healing to the platform. Make sure y'all check it out. And tomorrow on Friday, we'll have a new episode of Uplift and Heal. All right. And with that being said, we're going to end it on a commercial for our good brother.
You guys.
Yes, Cosmophysics. He has a class that we started on Wednesdays on Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon, y'all. Check us out. We have some wonderful things going on. Love and light to the panel. Peace. And I will see y'all in Detroit, inshallah.
Ashe. Thank you, beautiful women. My sisters, I love you, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Red Pill.
Peace. Peace. Love and light. All right.
I can bring you straight to the curricula that I use without a foundation. So this 4 weeks will be used to familiarize people with the process, with the protocol, and you will get some skills in how to delineate and erect a chart. If you're studious, it requires studies. There's no shortcuts, right? That's why it's gonna be 4 weeks, all right? And you have the opportunity to get ready to use astrology in any means that you build your capacity to use it. Right? You're gonna have to study hard. It ain't gonna be a walk through the park. It's a complex science. Okay, but I do have a means by which to simplify it, where other people have left it complicated. Right? I've been doing it for quite some time, so I found all kinds of shortcuts, and this is what I'll be showing. Right? You come prepared to the class. All right, be prepared to do some long division. All right. and some addition, right?
Fridays, and we have reached the zenith of the night where we actually get to listen to the playlist. Let's go. This is the first one, y'all. This is our first playlist that we've curated of artists that we're listening to that are literally like pioneering, like leading this journey forward, and just a big part of this paradigm shift that we're all experiencing. And just remember where you heard it first.
Uplifting Hill.
Hey. I'd like to welcome you to Uplifting Hill Friday. We are live here at the Sauce Spot. I am the Sauce Guy. You know, I'm joined here by none other than Th3rd, the energy healer, the crystal dealer. Yeah.
It's me, Profundity. Yes, let's get it.
Oh, turn us up, Black Light. We need
Really
that.
nice.
Turn the music up, baby. So grab whatever you're gonna be rolling up on, whatever you're sipping on, you know. This is brought to you by Know the Ladies Radio. Shout out to Blue Pill and Red Pill.
Look, Fridays ain't never gonna be the same again. We told y'all before that the music is where the healing is. We told y'all before that the music is the vibration that's missing and whatnot. So we're bringing it back. We're bringing it to the platform. Fridays will never be the same. You will be able to go into your strong end, which used to be called a weekend, with some new music, with some new sounds, with a new playlist, invigorated by this new thing called God Hop and whatnot. So let me go ahead and bring my new two hosts of this new podcast in the building before we get out of here. We have a special guest in the building, none other than Th3rd and the Source God. Legends.
Peace.
What's goody?
What's the man? You been cooking? Y'all was cooking, man.
Yeah, we was
we was at the stove.
Oh,
you know what I mean? We was at the stove.
heat.
Yeah, that was some heat right there.
Yeah, that was some. That was. Yeah, I need a part 2 of that.
Man,
You know what I mean? I need a part 2 of that. You know what I'm saying?
Fine feminine energy. Thank you for heating
Yes.
it up for us like that. I love it.
Yes, it's needed. It's summertime. So you
Yeah,
know, summertime. The grill is out all summer. You know what I'm talking about? We grilling all summer. So the next thing that we about to throw on the Barbie right here is this show Uplifting Hill. We about to get it hot because they said that there hasn't been a #1 album or single charting on the billboards in the 50th year of hip hop. And I said, you know what? I ain't even stressing that because you know what? We got 50 years of hits. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm not going to be greedy. While we waiting for the #1 hit, I'm going to focus on the last 50 because that's how they trick us out of our trick bag and take away our ashe and whatnot and not let, you know what I mean? They try to dampen our party. However, I trust my people. I trust my culture. We're going to kill them in the 4th quarter. So this quarter, though, there are some artists who have the potential to be #1, to have a #1 single, to be a #1 artist, to break this quote unquote barrier of the 50th years. Because, you know, they say once you get past 50, everything else is smooth sailing. So my mentality is once we get past this rigorous 50 years in hip hop, everything else is going to go up from there. It's not going to deteriorate. It's going to go up because we're able to analyze it and fix it. Y'all have decided to fix things and to do a show that's going to showcase the artists that are out there who don't have the $1 million budgets and the $1 billion machines behind them, but that's not stopping them from dropping some heat and whatnot. So we know that we want our audience to be what? Connoisseurs of avant-garde culture, right? You can't get that on World Star. You can't find that on Vlad TV. You won't get that following the Breakfast Club. They just don't have those components of giving people what it is that they need in terms of the culture. So along comes Uplift and Heal. So real quick, y'all, can you please let them know what they have to look for in with Uplift and Heal, and why do we even have an Uplift and Heal? You know what I'm saying? That, you know, what do we need that for?
Yeah, so first and foremost, man, shout out to you and the Twin Pillar Blue and all that you all do, continue to do, and just a staple in the community. You know, you are definitely serve as, you know, the gatekeepers and, you know, showing and introducing people to a world that they might not have even known about had you not given that path or given that alternate route, or even went out and, you know, took that narrow path, you know what I'm saying, to even get to where you all are at right now, to even be able to allow us to stand on y'all shoulders, you know, to even present this music to you all, you know what I'm saying, because this is a lot of hard work, bro, you know what I'm saying. This is a lot of sleepless nights. This is a lot of, you know, loss of family, friends, you know, certain material possessions that you may have had. You know, a lot of those things come into play when you do the work that you're doing. You feel me? And for you all to have already been doing this, you know, for, man, feel like eons. You feel me? Like y'all just came back incarnated into, you know, this physical vehicle of self. But as you all have shown, this twin energy has been here, and I'm just grateful. We're grateful to be reintroduced to it in this lifetime. And basically how it even came about was me and Perk, we went on a nomadic journey last year, 400 days, and we talk about it on episode 1. And we went out
on the road.
Yeah, we
Willie
was on
Nelson
the road.
and them on the road again.
Yeah, we went to 15 different states, 33 cities in those 400 days. And basically the quest was to find other like-minded individuals who were, you know, on this mission of uplifting and healing the community, you know, whether that was a musician, whether that was a physician, whether that was a healer, whether that was a master teacher, whether that was just whatever, wizard, sorcerer, astrologer, mathematicians. Like, we emitted a frequency to be able to connect and form Voltron, you know. And during that time, we created what was called an album, United We Stand 2, where I linked up with artists like Lizzie Jeff and Illuminati Congo, Blue and Red, you know, Sir Bay, Free Soul, Lava. The list goes on, man. So many of the artists, the who's who, you know.
Did you have a song with Spiritual Tony on that?
No, I don't have a song with Spiritual Tony, but me and Spiritual Tony been in the DM. We chopping it up, and it's coming. You feel me? Me and Spiritual Tony coming soon. Me and Lundrell coming soon. Like, once the power of a thought, right? Everything comes from, you know, a thought, an idea, and then it's manifested into reality. But the ability to be able to hold that thought, right, and to be able to will something into existence is something so powerful when it's realized. You know what I'm saying? And this is a dream realized, what's happening right here, right now. You know, because like I just said, we went those 400 days and we met all of these amazing individuals, and we were gifted, we were initiated, we were summoned to this space that we're in right now, which is the Soft Spot, which is an alternative medicine and holistic healing center, to be able to present not only the products and the services, but this music, because the music is holistic. The music is the alternative medicine. You want to say something?
Yeah, that when y'all was on y'all journey, you was also healing other people on that journey. I had the pleasure of meeting you in February of 2022, February 2nd, I believe. Well, we met February 1st.
Yeah.
because the event was the next day. And after that, we might have had a 3 or 4 or 5 studio sessions, but every single one of those sessions were my therapy.
Mm.
You might not have known it, or you might have known it. You know what I'm saying? But I really like when I look at everybody else, I look at those quote unquote, I'm able to gauge my healing process through your ceremonies, your studio sessions. That's how I'm able to gauge my process of my dark night of my soul that I was going through, my dark night of the soul. But your patience, your invitation, you feel me? You just saying, yo, Red, come and record. That was therapy, bro. Me getting in the booth, you allowing me to get on certain songs, that was therapeutic, bro. You know what I'm saying? Me hearing the songs and saying to myself, I could do better. You know what I mean? Therapy. And then the continuation, you know, and you being hands-on too, being right there in the booth. Nah, say it like that. Don't, you know what I mean? All of that has been extremely therapeutic to the point where, you know, when I coughed out that fax burst, you know what I mean? That was me measuring my growth or my healing, because I couldn't have done that verse if I wasn't healed like that. You know, because the frequencies in your voice and your throat chakra, all of those things are disrupted when you don't have homeostasis. You know what I mean? You can't fake it with the energy or the projection of it, you know. So I just want to say that personally, you know, outside of what the music or the album may do to somebody when they listen to Uplift and Heal. I mean, when they listen to United We Stand Part 2 and whatnot, you know, I'm just letting the family know that those studio sessions, not only were they organic, but they were magical in the way that they came together, and they were mystical. That's why when you listen to the songs and whatnot, they have a different type of feeling to them. You know what I mean? It's you could feel the energy and all of that. But please continue.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing it. You know, and reflecting it back to me.
Gotta get that back where it matters the most. Gotta get it back.
Man, that was definitely deeply felt. And just through that, just understanding, you know, where my true source of service to humanity stands. You know, my South Node in Leo, North Node in Aquarius. You know, I come from a background where I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. You know, and I come from, you was even talking about it earlier, just the lower self, looking at things from the bottom up, you know, and actually having to climb Jacob's ladder to be able to get to a higher sense of self, to where we can even activate our crown chakra within wearing certain, you know, jewelry like this amethyst that we have on right now, to be able to look at life from that perspective, because it was a journey and it was an experience. It was something that was felt. So we were always grounded. We were never so heavenly that we were no earthly good. And that's what is the separation with where music is going, moving forward. You feel what I'm saying? Because we had to be what they would call not the mitigation crew, but we had to scale things, you know what I'm saying? Because I know when I first got into the spiritual community of quote unquote conscious music, there were a lot of musicians that were top heavy. You feel me? Like, I'm talking about spiritual, miracle, lyrical, like some of the smartest brothers you will ever meet, but the synchronization with the beat was not, you know what I'm saying? It needed work, it needed grounding, it needed a foundation to stand on. And from me coming from that background, I was able to marry those two. And this is where we at right now. We in the summer, right? Summer solstice just happened yesterday. And it's the greatest time to be married, right? It's the peak of the masculine and the feminine. You know, the moon is at home right now. You know, the sun is, you know, at its peak right now. You feel me? So it's just like, it was so divine that we opened this portal right here, right now, Uplift and Heal, with, you know, me and Perk 30, you know, just being the filter to where you can actually come in and find music that's not only educational and affirmational, but it's a bop as well. It's something that you can listen to on repeat. It's something that you can play in your car. It's something that you can play in a club setting. It's something that you can play at a party. It's something that you can play within a ceremony or a ritual. It's something that you can wake up and be inspired by, right? So it's serving all ends of the spectrum to where you don't lose the essence of what even tied you into hip hop in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. You already. So explain to the family how you'll be reviewing other, you know, the music and where this music is coming from, please.
Absolutely, because like you were saying, it's the 50th year of hip hop, and we gotta do something new, like we always do, to create waves. And I feel like after we went on that journey and sat in those spaces and curated spaces where healing could go on while the music was being made, while these things were being created, we can do that and offer that to the people, and like guide them through these actual ceremonies that we're having when we're listening to music, period.
Right, exactly.
And just kind of bring them into that experience that you had in the studios, you know what I'm saying? Because I grew a lot just being in those sessions and just curating the space and actually feeling the energies. Like he said, this is happening during a solstice. This is happening during a time where everyone is feeling activated in a certain way, and we can actually utilize those energies for something grander, you know, and actually use all of the elements that's taking place while we're listening to music and enjoying ourselves. So we just gonna really guide you through and assist in how to utilize it as medicine, and just take you on a journey of a mindset shift when you're even engaging in something such as music.
Right, exactly. So the reviews will happen to where we'll do like what's called a keep it or delete it, right? So any artist, any aspiring artist that's out there that would like their music reviewed, definitely tap in. The link will be in the description, where we will listen to your album, we will critique it. She's a Virgo, so she's analytical, critical. My moon is in Virgo. I'm also a reflector, and I have over 10 years in music under my belt. You know what I'm saying? So
I grew up in the studio as well. That's kind of like where I grew up. And so I'm really good at analyzing the music and where you can utilize it, basically. So I'll be giving that take on it.
Yeah, she like the energy organizer. So she'll let you know what space that the music could be played in, what it'll be good to use when you're doing certain things.
To invoke an energy, just to invoke an intentional setting. Like if you want to be amped up, then listen to this. If you want to, you know, get through, like he said, dark night of the soul, then this would be good for that. And just kind of directing it.
Right. You know, having a music service prescriptions, you know what I'm saying, to your healing journey. So we'll be giving that through Keep It or Delete It. Now, Keep It or Delete It, where it is some harsh criticism, you know what I'm saying? Because we want to give it to you raw, real, and uncut, you know what I'm saying? So send your music. Also, outside of the reviews,
we not cutting no corners here.
Right.
The same.
One of a kind connoisseur, okay? So
that's right.
You got to come with it, and we gonna let you know if that's what you coming with. And we got some people that's really coming with it on this first pioneers. The pioneers one that we gonna do tomorrow. They got some really heavy hitters on that.
All right, that's in 20 minutes. That's in 20 minutes. Right. So we'll do the Keep It or Delete It. That'll be one section. Also, we have playlists. So even if you would like to be included in one of the playlists, right? We'll have a link for that as well. So the playlist is basically hand-picked tracks by me and Perk that we listen to, and we say, okay, this will be good for volume 1. This will be good for volume 2, and it's all based upon the numerology of the number. So for instance, the one you will be listening to tonight is called volume 1, the Pioneers, right? 1 stands for new beginnings, right? It stands for leadership, bravery, being bold, paving the way, right? So we're highlighting the artists who are paving the way with this new music that we're calling Uplift and Heal, which is basically a subgenre of hip hop, right? And just like Red said, allowing it to be a hub to where people can come and not only find music, but be able to propel it to its zenith, to be able to get it to being that #1 song on the charts. Because one thing that was lacking when I seen within the community was that we had no channels to go through to be able to promote our music, to be able to market it, to be able to get people's opinion on it, or to even go on what we would call a promo run. You know what I'm saying?
And you come out of the music industry, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
right.
I come from that. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in that. And one of the biggest things about it is being the change that I seek to see, not just serving as an artist within it, but creating where I see the void needs to be filled.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Roy, you gotta send your. That's what I'm saying. You know, I got a lot of people that send me music and whatnot. That's their job now. That's not what I do. We're gonna redirect all of the emails that people send me to listen to the music. That's why we built this. You know, we're not gonna complain about what we don't see in our community when we have the apparatus, we have the tools, and we have the resources to build it our damn selves. So we're just gonna build it. So this is gonna be our one-stop shop for all things music. You know, you don't have to worry about how your shit sounds. You're gonna find out by submitting it, and the whole world are gonna find out how it sounds. We're gonna critique our art and our quote-unquote creations amongst one another, so we don't got to deal with backbiting and other shit like that, and then we could propel good product and good quality to the motherfucking top where it belongs. So nobody is under, yo, do you think this is hot? We'll know what's hot. We need a filter system. And that's exactly what we're doing with this. We're creating a filter system. We're going to onboard you and introduce you to new artists like we've been doing since y'all met us and whatnot. But now this level is going to be at a higher level because the rating system is attached to it. And we're not holding back no punches. We're going to give it to you the way that you need it, because that's the only way that we're going to improve as artists.
Right. So, all right. So yeah, y'all, Uplift and Heal every Friday, KTL Radio. We'll be doing reviews. You can get your whole album reviewed if you want to. You know what I'm saying? You tap in with us. You hit the link. You subscribe to the Patreon. Must be subscribed to the Patreon to even be thought about. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a part of the community because this is what it's all about at the end of the day. Building community, building village, and like-mindedness. Exactly.
No standalones. We're not doing that in 2023. You got to be a part of something. You got to be a member. You got to be in the community, because that's where everything is headed. Everything is community-based. You can't call yourself a community if you're standing on the outside and you're not even a member of anything. We don't even know you, bro, at this point. Like, don't feel, and you could, you could belong to more than one community.
Facts.
This is not this is not the Russian Empire. This ain't the Russian Federation. Like, belong to as many communities that feed you. You know what I mean? This is not church, y'all. This is something brand new. This is freedom, and this is what it looks like. Yes. You could belong to any community and network that you please. And when you're dealing with us, I can't speak for nobody else because I'm not a jealous God, so I can't talk for the next person. But for the music, for the sounds, for the new artists, I don't care if you're 2 years old, all the way up to 200 years old. You're going to be critiqued at your quality of what you bring to the table. and you'll be introduced to a whole new audience. This has so many bigger implications as we move forward, but we're going to start out where we start out. And today, in about how many minutes?
14 minutes.
In 15 minutes exactly, we have the debut of episode 1. Y'all are going to be pleasantly pleased with it. We're going to let y'all get yourselves a bathroom break, get you some water and whatnot, and get ready for the premiere. And then tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, episode 2 will be appearing live. And Th3rd and Source Guard are going to be reviewing the EP from, you already know, if when I say her name, you already know what she means to this channel. You know, the rap goddess herself, Lizzie Jeff. She just put out an EP called Kush and Rosewater, and the shit is fire. And she's gonna get her review by the one and only Source Guard and whatnot. And I look forward to that.
Yeah, man.
That's gonna be lit.
Yeah, it's gonna be lit.
That's gonna be a live show, you said?
Yeah, it's gonna be live. We're gonna do a live here at the Soft Spot. Yeah, me and Perk. So it's gonna be dope.
Lit.
Tap in, y'all. This is the first event. Tell a friend to tell a friend about what's going on right now, right here. This is monumental. You know, 50 years of hip hop. That 5 represents change. That 0 represents infinite possibilities. You know what I'm saying? So we're stepping into that cosmic egg to create, co-create, you know, this shift, you know, that we're all a part of, you know, and it's time that this happens. Yesterday, me and Red was just talking about how something otherworldly is about to happen. You know, we're on the cusp of that. That's going to humble humanity in a sense. That's going to create what this uplifting heal music is about, to literally be at the forefront of everybody's subconscious. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. We're on the event horizon.
Yeah, it's happening. It's been happening. Don't get me wrong. You feel what I'm saying? And it's going to be continuous things that happen. But I'm telling you, what's happening tonight is the start of something gigantic. What's the word you be using? Magnanimous.
Magnanimous. So with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and get ready for this new episode. It is premiering on Notaledge Media in a few minutes. We're going to close out with Red Opals, and that is also available on all streaming services. I think we're getting a review on that next week, maybe, or Friday. I don't know.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. We gotta play that joint for the before we do the review. On God.
Right. So there you have it. Red Opals is finally out. It sounds great. It sounds exactly. I told that nigga, don't touch nothing, don't tweak anything, just clean me up. That's what the people said. They don't want no
dividing these
bands. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, I want to say this before you leave, before we get up out of here, bro. I admire, you know what I'm saying, your growth and just in the music and taking it like so serious to the point where like your flow has improved, the beat selection is improved, the song structure has improved to where this song Red Opal that you're about to play, this like your hardest joint yet, and you got so much drip on it, folks. The drip is immaculate.
My sword is sharpened because I'm around Ginsus.
Yeah.
So that's how I create, yo. I'm an inspirational god. I get inspired, bro.
Let's go. Let that jump ride.
All right, y'all. So we out, man. Love and light. Hey.
The Dumbo smoking the gumbo. Few blocks before green.
Let's go.
Up in the Dumbo, smoking the gumbo. Few blocks before green, yeah, up in the jungle, coconut bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tore the underworld, popping the minter. Landing the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. and I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean? We up it and squeeze, tuck it and leave, we leaving a stain. Fuck up for breeze, running the banks, causing a crashing. Feather the feds, Moorish the fashion, horse was smashing, kicking the door. Wave on 4/4, it was blasting, mother the gassing, loving the passion. Eat on your food, the brother was fasting. The weapon that formed against me was me. Perfected the storm as Bentley receipts. Washing the Benjis, we rinse and repeat. Century of self, I'm centered on me. Red as the pillar, I'm pushing the piece. Higher the level, I'm pushing the keys. They going for 19. The summer is mine, I'm going for 19. Thunder and lightning, flooded the bright lean. The hunger was biting, biting.
Yeah. Yo, Sauce, drop that link so where
Okay.
they can send the song. I'm going to play this one more time. Drop the link because I'm sure that we're going to have people that's going to watch this on a replay. They're going to ask the same questions. Drop it in the chat. I'll drop it in the description. Let's get these entries in. Let's go, y'all. Come on.
Up in the Dumbo, smoking the gumbo. Few blocks before green, yet up in the jungle, coking the bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tore the underworld, popping the minter. Landed the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean? We up it and squeeze, tuck it and leave, we leaving a stain. Fuck up for breeze, running the banks, causing a crashing. Feather the feds, Moorish the fashion, horse was smashing, kicking the door. Wave on 4/4, it was blasting, mother the gassing, loving the passion. Eat on your food, the brother was fasting. The weapon that formed against me was me. Perfected the storm as Bentley receipts. Washing the Benjis, we rinse and repeat. Century of self, I'm centered on me. Red as the pillar, I'm pushing the piece. Higher the level, I'm pushing the keys. They going for 19. The summer is mine, I'm going for 19. Thunder and lightning, flooded the bright lean. The hunger was biting, biting.
Peace to the family. Hello, Melanin Monday. See y'all tomorrow. Uplifting Hell. You done know. All right. Peace.